Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in China in the past 24 hours. China is accelerating its push to become a global leader in artificial intelligence, with Xi Jinping preparing to use the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai to promote Beijing's vision for AI governance and technology development. The message from Beijing is that AI should not be controlled by a small group of Western companies, and China intends to provide a lower-cost, open-source alternative while building an independent technology ecosystem that can compete with the United States. But behind the diplomacy is a major industrial competition. Huawei is preparing to showcase its Atlas 950 SuperPod AI computing system, a massive computing platform built around Chinese-designed Ascend processors. The significance is that China is trying to prove it can build advanced AI infrastructure without relying on the most sophisticated American semiconductor technology. This is the same pattern we have seen across Chinese technology sectors. When Western restrictions create pressure, Beijing responds by accelerating domestic alternatives. The goal is not just to survive sanctions. The goal is to build a separate technology ecosystem that China controls, and that technology competition is happening alongside a broader contest for global influence. A new Pew Research Center survey found China is now viewed more favorably than the United States in 25 of 36 countries surveyed. This is the first time Pew has recorded China achieving that level of advantage. The results are complicated. This does not mean the world has suddenly embraced Xi Jinping or the Chinese political system. Confidence in both Xi and President Trump remained relatively low, but Beijing has benefited from perceptions that China is more predictable and less disruptive internationally. For China, that perception matters. Global influence is not only built through military power, it is built through trade relationships, infrastructure investment, technology partnerships, and the ability to convince countries that aligning with you is the safer choice. Beijing has been working that angle aggressively, particularly in developing regions. In the Pacific, China announced that Papua New Guinea had closed Taiwan's office in the country. Papua New Guinea did not immediately confirm the decision, but if accurate, it would represent another step in Beijing's campaign to reduce Taiwan's international presence. Taiwan has increasingly found itself squeezed diplomatically. China views every official or unofficial relationship Taipei maintains as a challenge to its sovereignty claims, and Beijing has spent years trying to shrink Taiwan's room to operate internationally. The Pacific is especially important because it has become a major arena for competition between China, the United States, and regional partners. These relationships are about more than diplomacy. They affect access, influence, and long-term strategic positioning. China is also working to maintain its influence over North Korea. Chinese official Wang Huning traveled to Pyongyang and met with senior North Korean leadership following Xi Jinping's visit to North Korea in June. The meetings focused on expanding political, economic, and strategic cooperation. The timing is significant because North Korea has become increasingly close with Russia. Beijing does not want Moscow becoming the dominant outside influence over Pyongyang. China's relationship with North Korea has always been complicated. Beijing wants stability on the peninsula and wants North Korea within its orbit, but it also does not want Pyongyang's actions creating regional crises that damage China's broader interests. That balancing act continues. At the same time, China's security policies are creating growing concerns among foreign governments and international organizations. The case of American scientist Yulin Chen remains a major point of friction. Chen, a U.S. citizen and seismologist, has been detained in China since 2024 after Chinese authorities accused him of espionage. His research involved analyzing seismic data related to nuclear tests, including work connected to understanding North Korea's nuclear program. His supporters argue the research was transparent and unclassified. The U.S. government has called for his release and designated him wrongfully detained. The broader issue is what this means for foreign researchers, academics, and businesses operating in China. Areas that once existed primarily in the world of science and commerce are increasingly being viewed through a national security lens. That trend is expanding beyond American citizens. A Czech citizen detained in China is now facing a national security investigation, adding another strain to Beijing's relationship with Prague. Human rights groups are also urging Thailand not to deport Chinese journalist Bai Zhaodong, who investigated corruption involving Chinese officials, warning he could face persecution if returned to China. These cases reinforce a broader message from Beijing. The state security apparatus has a wide mandate, and activities involving information, technology, journalism, or political sensitivity can quickly become security issues. China is also looking closely at lessons from Russia's war in Ukraine, especially in cyberspace. Chinese military analysts have spent years studying why Russia's cyber campaign failed to deliver the decisive effects many expected at the beginning of the war. Their conclusion is that Russia had capable cyber forces but struggled with command structure, coordination, and integration with conventional military operations. Beijing's takeaway is that cyber power requires organization. Chinese analysts are emphasizing stronger protection of critical infrastructure, more cyber exercises, and reducing dependence on foreign technology. They believe future conflicts will begin with attacks against communications networks, information systems, and infrastructure. Interestingly, while Chinese analysts criticize Russia's cyber shortcomings, China may face some similar challenges. The unexplained removal of Lieutenant General Zhang Minghua, who led China's cyberspace force, has raised questions about internal organizational stability within Beijing's own cyber structure. Around Taiwan, China continues maintaining pressure through gray zone operations. Taiwan reported that Chinese aircraft and naval vessels operated around the island between July 15 and 16, including aircraft crossing the median line of the Taiwan Strait and entering Taiwan's air defense identification zone. The significance is the steady normalization of these activities. Beijing continues pushing the boundaries without triggering open conflict, using military presence as a way to pressure Taiwan and test responses. China is also highlighting progress in its nuclear forces. Beijing announced a submarine-launched ballistic missile test conducted on July 6th, describing it as another demonstration of its growing sea-based nuclear deterrent. Chinese analysts assessed the missile was likely part of the Zhulong family and capable of ranges exceeding 8,000 kilometers. The message is straightforward. China wants potential adversaries to believe its nuclear forces are increasingly survivable and capable. Thanks for listening. Stay curious, stay kind, and never let anyone convince you that asking questions is a security threat. For the written brief, visit restrictedhandling.substack.com.